Hello everyone. So today in this video I am going to discuss about what is static testing in software testing. So what is static testing? Static testing means in static testing is a software testing technique which is used to check defects in software application without executing the code. So without executing the code, whenever we are testing any software application to check any defects, that is called static testing. So now I am giving you one very basic example. Let's say one requirement has come from the client side. Okay, so now when the requirement has come, then first what we will do, first we will do the requirement collection, then we will do the feasibility study, then we will do the designing, then we will do the coding. Once after coding is done by the developer, then developer will do the white box testing. Okay, so now once the white box testing is done, the finally the software will be given to the tester. Okay, so before doing the white box testing by the developer, before what activities we do, that will comes under static testing. Means developer has developed something, by the follow by they follow the requirement, they follow the client's requirement as per the client requirements. Now whenever the software application has been done by the developer, then what will happen, developer will do the white box testing. So before doing the white box testing done by the developer, what activities will do, what activities will done by the tester, that will comes under static testing. So static testing is a software testing technique which is used to check the defects in software application without executing the code. That means static testing is done to avoid errors at an early stage of development. At the early stage of development, as it is easier to identify the error and solve the error. That is nothing but called as static testing. Okay, so now what are the static testing technique? Mainly two testing we follow for the static testing. One is review and second one is the static analysis. So in the review part, there is there are four things. One is formal review, second one is that walkthroughs, third one is the technical reviews, and fourth one is that inspection. And in the static analysis, there are three things. One is the data flow, second one is that control flow, and third one is that cyclomatic complexity. Now what do you mean by review, or what do you mean by formal review, walkthrough, static analysis, etc, etc? I am giving you in a very easy way that you guys remember that what is exactly on the review, what is static analysis, what is formal review, walkthrough, etc. Now what is review? Reviews are usually performed to identify and correct errors and uncertainties found in supporting documents as requirement documents, design document, test case, etc. Review means, in a very simple way, in a very simple term, we are doing any review. That means we are checking, we are verifying, we are reviewing something, that the software is as per mark or not. Right? That means a review is usually performed to identify and correct errors and uncertainties found in supporting documents such as like requirement document or design document or test cases, etc. So we are reviewing our views on that requirement documents, design documents, test cases. That is called as a review. Okay. Now what do you mean by formal, what do you mean by formal reviews? So formal reviews do not use to, I mean, the second one is the informal reviews. So informal reviews do not use any set method to detect problems. So coworker review documents and give informal comments. So basically the review will be done in an informal way. Some set of methods to detect problems are used. So we don't use any set method to detect the problems. Okay, so co-worker review documents and give formal comments. Okay, now third one is that walkthrough. So what do you mean by walkthrough? So the document's author will explain the document to their team during a walkthrough. We are walk through something on that document. So the document's author will explain the document to their team during a walkthrough. So participants would ask, they may be asked the questions or any notes are taken down. Okay, that means some walkthrough process will be happen. The documents author will explain the documents, that how will work on that application, what are the documents. Okay, so the documents author will explain the document to their team during a walkthrough. Okay, so the participant who are joined, so the participants would ask questions and any notes are taken down in the walkthrough. Okay, now this is the informal review, formal review. Okay, now what is technical reviews? So peer examine technical specification in order to detect any errors. So in the technical reviews, we are mainly talking about the functional thing. What is the technical thing on that product? On the product. So PR examine technical specification in order to detect any errors. That is called technical review. And what is inspection? So moderator will do a comprehensive examinations as a part of procedure to detect flaws. So there is some questions in your mind, that what do you mean by moderator, what do you mean by document author. So I will give you all in a brief idea in this video. So just hold on, I am telling you one by one. Okay, so these are the main four things of the review part. Okay, now I am coming to the next, that what are the types of participants in review process. So what is mean by moderator? So performs entry check, follows up on rework, coaching team member, schedule the meeting. Who will arrange that? Moderator will do that. They will do the performance entry check. They will follow up on rework. They will coaching the team members, or they will schedule the meeting. So that will mean mainly the work for that moderator. And what do you mean by author? So author takes responsibility for fixing the defect found and improve the quality of the document. So that is the part of the author. And scribe. So what do you mean by scribe? So it does the logging of the defect during a review. So when we are doing any review, so in that review, the scribe take a they does the logging of the defect and attend the review meetings. Okay, and what do you mean by reviewer? Reviewer will check the material for defects and inspect. And what do you mean by manager? So manager will decide on the executions of reviews and ensure the review process objects are met. Okay, so this is the common name that we have to know, that what do you mean by moderator, what do you mean by author, what do you mean by scribe, what do you mean by reviewer, and what do you mean by manager. What are that these all are the participants for the review process, and there will be some separate tasks are there for the moderator, author, scribe, reviewer, and manager. So we have to know that, right? And now coming to the next one is that second point is the static analysis. So what do you mean by static analysis? So in the static analysis is where the code developed by the developer is evaluated. So it is done to find structural defects that may lead to errors. Right? So static code analysis can be done both either manually or through the automation. So with the use of various software testing tools. We are doing the analysis, some analysis by using some static way. So some where the code developed by the developer is evaluated, it is done to find structural defects that may lead to the errors, or it can be done by manually or automatic or by automations. Okay, So in the static analysis, some tools we use like check styles, Clang, find bugs, Jarchitect, JTest, okay, Sonar Cube, Suit, Source Meter, Thread Shape. So these are the different tools we use for the static analysis. Just remember for that, guys. Okay. Now I'm coming to the next one, is that types of static analysis. So I have already mentioned that three types of there. One is the data flow, second one is the control flow, and third one is that cyclomatic complexity. So what do you mean by data flow? So data flow is related to the stream processing. Okay, what do you mean by control flow? The control flow we use to specify how the statements or instructions are executed. So what statement or what instructions we have to specify it on the control flow, that how those are executing. That is called as control flow. Okay, now cyclomatic complexity. So cyclomatic complexity is the measurement of the program complexity, that is basically related the numbers of independent path in the control flow graph of the program. That is cyclomatic complexity. So these are in the statics testing we have to just know that how that is, how is, what is data flow, what is control flow. We have to know in a very easy way or in a very rough way. Okay, now the most important part is that why static testing, or why we follow the static testing. So in static testing, what actually the tester will do, as I have already told you, it comes under it comes under the verification activity. Okay, so static testing comes under verification activity. So it is the part of verification activity. So as it is the parts of verification activity, so in static testing, we will review the code, we will review the requirements, we will review the customer requirement specification, we will review the software requirement specification, high level design, low level design, we will review the walkthrough of the code. So this part we have to do on the static testing. So why we use static testing? The first one is that early defect detection and correction. Now second one is that reduce development time scale, then reduce testing cost and time for improvement of development productivity, or to get fewer defects at a later stage of testing. So for these reasons we will use the static testing. Okay, now what is tested in the static testing? So in the static testing, mainly what we will test. Okay, so as I've already discussed about that, what actually is the static testing. So in the static testing, what we will test, the first one is that unit test cases, then BRD means business requirement document, then use cases, then functional requirement, then some prototypes, prototype specification document, test data, testability metrics document, test plan strategy, automation or performance test cases, documentation. So we have to test that in the static testing, because in the static testing we have to we will review the, as we have to review the requirement, then customer requirement specification, business requirement specification, or software requirement specification, low level design, high level design. So for that cases we have to do that all these things in the static testing. Okay, now how the static testing is performed? Two things are there. One, the carry out the inspection process to completely inspect the design of the application, and second one is that use a checklist for each document under review to ensure all reviews are covered completely. So these two things are there for how to do the static testing. Okay, so in a very simple way, I am giving you one brief idea about static testing. So that is that, so when any requirement comes, then first what we will do, first first we will do the requirement collection, then they will do the feasibility study, then they will do the design, then coding. Once after coding is done, developer will do white box testing. So once white box testing is done by the developer, the finally the software will be given to the tester. Now before doing the white box testing done by the developer, what activities the tester will do, that will comes under static testing. So static testing will be done as a part of your verification activity. Okay. So what is verification activity? In my later video, I'll give you one separate video for that. So don't worry about that. Now, so in static testing, what actually they will do, as I've already told you that it comes under verification activities. So in static testing, we'll review the code, we'll review the requirement, we'll review the customer requirement specification, we'll review the software requirement specification, high level design, low level design, we'll do the walkthrough of the code. So these parts will comes under the static testing. So we'll do static testing before the software is deployed. So make sure before the software is deployed, we'll do the static testing. So what is the main reason to do static testing? We do static testing to prevent the defect. We do static testing to prevent the defect. Okay, so static testing is always a less costly. Okay, and it is performed at the early stage of the development. Okay, so now we are very much clear about that what is static testing. And one important thing is that in static testing the code will not executed, as I have already mentioned on my document that what is static testing. What I am telling that in static testing is a software testing technique which is used to check defects in the software application without executing the code. So in static testing we will not executed any code, or we can say that in static testing the whole code will not be executed, right? So now we are fine that what is static testing and different ways. Now coming to that advantage of static testing. What are the advantage of static testing? So if we do the static testing as I have already told you that static testing is a static testing is used for prevent the defect, so that's why it increase the product quality, and it reduce the cost and effort of fixing bugs because it identifies the bug in the earlier stage of the software development life cycle. This is the very much important. Okay, static testing reduces the cost and effort of fixing bug because it identifies the bugs in the earlier stages of the software development life cycle. And third point is that static testing gives deeper insight into the software for the whole team. Right. Now, what are the disadvantages of static testing? It requires lots of documentation because we have to do the software, we have to check the software requirement specification, we have to do the customer requirement specification, we have to follow the business requirement specification, high level design, low level design, walk through. So many documentation is required. So that's why it's a very disadvantage. I mean, it's take lots of time, right? So the second point is that many meetings and evaluation. So in the static testing, we have to follow many types of meeting. Okay, and some analysis tools are not compatible with all programming language. So these are the disadvantage of static testing. So what is the main purpose or reason? So as a part of this total thing, I can conclude you that what is the main purpose or reason that why we use the static testing or why static testing? The main reason is that prevent defect. Now why? Because in static testing we are indirectly reviewing your requirements, reviewing your customer requirement specification, your software requirement specification, your walkthrough, your requirements. So you are reviewing your code. So you are testing all the logic written by the developer. Like we have to follow the customer requirement specification, software requirement specification, high level design, low level design, etc. So always remember one thing, when we are doing static testing, that time software will not ready in front of you. Either your requirement documents is there or code would be written by code would be written by the developer, but not all the code. He he just started the code writing, right? So this is the main funda of static testing. So it's an important testing, I mean important testing technique. So if you are a freshers and if you are going for any interview, so maximum time the interview will ask you, what do you mean by static testing? Now I think guys you are very much clear about what is static testing. Okay, what is the techniques, what tool is used, and why we use statistics testing, how to use, what is the advantage, disadvantage, etc. So if you guys have any doubt, please comment me. If you guys like my video, one thumbs up please, and subscribe to my channel EduPaat and click on the bell icon so guys you will get my videos update notifications first. So see you in the next video. What is dynamic testing? See you in the next videos. Thank you.